Hello and welcome back to Karma Stories. I'm Rob and I hope you are having a wonderful day today. Today, I have some stories for you from the Malicious Compliance subreddit. Okay, everybody on the Karma Stories channel, you made me feel amazing yesterday. I have over 200 comments on my last video. Granted, about half of them are me responding to you guys, but still, you guys killed it yesterday. And you gave me the confidence boost that I needed to keep going on camera at the beginning here to make sure that my channel doesn't get picked up as AI by YouTube. So here we are. Thank you so much for your support. I really appreciate it. Now, do me a favor today because we got over 200 comments on the video yesterday. I would love to see a ton of likes on today's video. So if you could just hit that like button down there for me, I'd really appreciate it. It does tell YouTube that we're doing a good job, and we'll maybe bring some new eyes in here as well. Alright, on to today's stories. Let's jump right in. This story comes to us from the Omega 010, seen and not heard. I work in contract security as an armed guard at a major utility company. I pick up extra work on my days off from my main site covering banks that the company I work for has clients in as well. Today, I covered a branch of a large bank that has a white and red logo like stagecoaches and traces their roots back to the mid-1800s. After I was allowed to enter the bank, the branch operations manager gave me a rundown and read me the riot act right off the bat. I had a feeling at that time that this might be a long day. 30 minutes later, a bank customer came in looking lost and said she had an appointment with a banker. I greeted her and told her to take a seat and they'll be with her shortly. That prompted Madam Branch Operation Manager to come out from the back and get on to me for telling the customer to take a seat. Told me that I wasn't allowed to give any direction to anyone coming in as it could cause problems. Okay, that's reasonable enough. An hour or so later, a man entered the branch with a problem and he was a bit irate because of his issue. Branch Operations Manager said she could try to help him and ran into issues, which caused him to get more irate, especially since she was not acting very helpful and kept putting the blame on him for something that appeared to be the bank's fault. She came out from behind the teller desk and was looking for a banker to help the gentleman, and while she was wandering around, I engaged him in conversation. He was wearing a Marine Corps hat and I started chatting with him about what he did in the Corps and other things along that line. She finally figured something out and instead of calling the gentleman over, she called my name and did a throat slash. After she was finished with the gentleman and wasn't able to help him while still blaming him for the situation, she called me over and proceeded to lay into me about how we had just spoke about talking to people. She said that I'm here for presence only, and I'm not here to de-escalate, one of my primary purposes of a security guard, or to speak with the clients. She said that my conversation with the man could cause problems for the bank, despite it not being about the bank at all, and that I wasn't to talk to the customers at all. I asked her if she wanted me to be seen and not heard, and she indicated that's what she wanted from me. She once again threatened to call my supervisor if I had a problem and didn't understand her. Message was received loud and clear. I notified my supervisor of the incident and then decided I was going to comply with her orders to the letter. Cue Malicious Compliance, with me deciding to communicate for the rest of the day with signs, from the limited sign language I knew from my wife and friends, and gestures. People would ask me questions and I'd just gesture and point to the please wait here sign. People would talk about the weather and I'd just nod. I directed people to stand in line with gestures and nods. This went on until just before noon when the branch manager pulled me into his office with Madam Branch Operations Manager. He proceeded to talk about their concerns and asked me what had happened with the irate gentleman. I filled him in and it was obvious by his reaction that my version of events didn't match with what Madam Branch Operations Manager had told him. Nevertheless, he proceeded to tell me how I was supposed to do things and that we had to work together. According to the both of them, anything that I say, even not related to the bank or financial matters, can cause problems and it's best to not say anything, especially to irate customers. Afterwards, as I was leaving his office, I informed him that I'd already let my supervisor know of the situation and that any further issues would be best brought to his attention. I'm half expecting them to call my supervisor to have me removed early, and that will be perfectly fine with me as I never plan to cover this location in the future. I am eating lunch now, but I plan on continuing my malicious compliance after my break ends. I'll be present and do my rounds as I'm supposed to do, but nothing says that I have to greet people or discuss anything with anyone. End of day update. When speaking to my ops manager at the end of the day, he informed me that they requested that I not return to the branch because of how I responded to their request to not speak to the customers. Told him that was fine as I was going to request not to go back to that branch anyway, and asked him if I was getting wrote up. He said that I was in the clear as it was obvious that I was following the client's instructions to the letter. I know it's probably not a very satisfying conclusion based on a lot of the stories here, but it's a good conclusion in the contract security world when following the client's instruction literally and engaging in malicious compliance. Jumping down to the comments on this one, we have one from a user called Judicial Starfish. It says, "You're not allowed to de-escalate situations? Good lord. Glad your supervisor has your back. I cannot facepalm enough about that." OP responded and said, "I'm amazed that she said that, and then the branch manager backed her up on that. It really cuts me off at the knees in terms of doing my job." Alright everyone, what would you do in this case? Would you just stand there and become a statue and just completely blank the customers and staff altogether like they don't even exist? I don't know. Or would you say to them, "Sorry, I've been instructed by branch management that I'm not allowed to interact with customers," and then stop talking? Let me know what you would do in the comments down below on YouTube or on Spotify. Personally, I feel like this turns into a dangerous situation when the security guard isn't allowed to talk and that security guard has training in de-escalation. So if somebody comes in really angry, pissed off, and maybe going to hurt somebody, you're not allowed to say anything to them? This is a load of BS. This story comes to us from Hurry Acceptable 9242. Mow your lawn wet? Okay, enjoy the look when it dries. I had a pretty successful lawn mowing hustle in high school, with enough regulars to have a decent income. Sometimes it just rains every inconvenient day, and lawns get longer and longer. Most customers understood that they needed to be patient and wait until it's dry enough to mow, but not this one guy. He was on the cutting edge of impatience, and in a moment of dullness, he insisted I come and deal with this because it was too long, even though it had continued to rain even on the same day. I told him this is not going to go well, but he insisted. So I got out there and did the best I could, with wet, soggy grass clumping up all over the place. If you know anything about this, you know that mowing thick, wet grass with a push mower tends to just lay the grass over and not really cut it. So you can imagine what it looked like after 2 dry days. The house was on a busy corner of the neighborhood, so until I could get to it a week later, it looked like a troop of drunken monkeys had attacked his lawn with scissors. It looked much worse than if he'd just waited until it was dry. The only thing I felt bad about was that everyone knew this was my work, so I made sure to make it look super nice as soon as I could do it properly. Okay, let's take a quick look at this one. OP bent over backwards to do what this guy wanted and get his lawn done, while also tarnishing their own reputation and leaving a really junky looking lawn behind. Yeah, I would have put my foot down and said, nope, that's just not going to happen today. So I think we're just going to have to turf this one, because to me, it's not really malicious compliance if OP is screwing themselves over. This story comes to us from Area Miserable 9187. Want me to question things? Watch me question everything. So I work with the most frustrating woman I have ever encountered. We're both managers within the company, but she continuously treats me like she's my boss and keeps track of what my team does, often commenting on things that have nothing to do with her. She tries to tell me how to feedback to my team, telling me how to pull them up on errors she perceives. She told me I cannot speak to clients one-on-one, despite the clients wanting to speak to me. She recently told me I'm not a writer when I queried a part of the project, but I am a writer. That's how I got the job. However, Our teams collaborate all day, so I can't just ignore her. Recently, there was an issue where a note for a specific project was missed. It was missed by her team, and when it got to my team, we assumed that because it was approved by her team, we were good to go. Apparently, that was completely my fault, and I should know better. No accountability for the fact her team approved it and didn't flag it. She told me I had to flag such things in the future. Okay, I'll flag every single thing. Every single note that comes across with a project, I am questioning. Everything she's asking me to do, I am questioning. I must waste so much of my own time sending back random questions, but if it's winding her up, I will continue it until the end of time. Jumping down to the comments on this one, we have one from a user called Flushlod. Flushlotch. Yeah. It says, that's effed up and must be very frustrating. Do you have managers you report to? Do they know she tries to micromanage you? I'd ask your higher-ups if there had been a change in the chain of command, and if she is your supervisor, entitled to give instructions to you. OP responded to this one and said, oh, wait till you hear this. I once made a comment to her, all due respect, when I was at my wit's end. She told my manager. He rang me and had such a massive go at me, I sobbed in the office. So OP, what you're saying here is that your boss is encouraging and rewarding her behavior. I don't think that's a workplace that you want to be in anymore. And I hope that you would be looking for something else right away when you realize that nobody there is going to support you. They're only going to support the upper management. This story comes to us from Work From Home Hun, leaning into the no questions policy. I work at a retail store where each sale requires, on average, 10 minutes of paperwork. That's if you're fast and know what you're doing. 2 months into the job, the boss told us new hires to stop asking questions in front of the customers. We look like clowns, and customers lose confidence. The only training they provided was asking questions. They'd stick you with the customer and make you guess how to process the paperwork. If you got stuck, you'd ask for help. They'd tell you what to click, but not why. Then, they'd info dump all exceptions to the rule they just gave you. Malicious Compliance. I stop asking questions, and I take my sweet ass time, 30 to 40 minutes, guessing my way through paperwork. I've undercharged customers. A customer actually walked out. Call me when you actually have time for me, because I can't be here all day. A customer decided not to buy. The senior employee was mad I didn't ask about shipping. Yes, we usually don't, but we sometimes make exceptions, always ask questions. When I'm at the sales desk, instead of asking if we sell a product or accept an insurance, I just tell the callers we don't. This saves me from doing the work of looking them up. When I'm working the reception desk, I waste time looking up obscure insurance policies instead of just asking a senior employee. I'm not Latino, but I speak some Spanish. Now, when Spanish speakers call, I only respond in English. Before, I would speak Spanish and ask for help if I needed it. Now, because of the no questions policy, I don't even ask my coworkers if they are free to take a call. I feel bad for these people though, but not too bad. All they have to do is call back and hope I don't answer. Laugh out loud. Jumping down to the comments on this one, we have one from a user called Angry Squid is okay. It says, tell you what, as a customer, I have no problems if the person helping me needs to ask another employee something. Better than the clown show that has resulted in the OP. Alright, I know OP's getting back at the management in this one, but I can't help but feeling like the people who are really losing out in this situation are the actual customers because they're not getting what they want in OP's store. This story comes to us from Brooks Sophia. Be available during lunch? Sure thing. My manager sent a passive-aggressive message to the whole team, clearly aimed at me. Lunch breaks are unpaid, but everyone is expected to be available during core hours, including lunch. I used to take a quick walk or step out to grab coffee. Never missed meetings, never late, but fine. If she wants me available, I'll play along. I started eating lunch at my desk every day. No headphones, not working, just sitting. I ignored emails and messages, and when people came over, I'd smile and say, I'm on my unpaid break, but I'll jump on it at 1. One day, she sent a message at 12:10 asking for a report ASAP. I didn't reply until 1. Someone else had scrambled to do it by then. She later asked why I didn't respond, and I said, I was available, just not working, as instructed. She never brought up lunch breaks again. I've said this a bunch of times in episodes recently. If I'm not being paid to be available, then I'm not available. Way too many people give extra time to companies without getting compensated for it. The one thing we can never get back in our lives is our time. So, if you're giving it to somebody else, make sure you're getting something back in return. This story comes to us from Eagle0829. Boss said dress more professional, and now I move boxes in a long shirt. My boss, Gary, fake though he looks like one, pulled me aside last week and says I need to dress better in order to look more professional. Not even kidding, I literally work in a warehouse. We literally move boxes and operate forklifts. Like, I was wearing clean jeans and a t-shirt, which seemed perfectly reasonable for, manual labor. But he wanted that, so I gave him professional, where I showed up Monday in a long shirt, dress shoes, wristwatch, the whole package. Looked like I was about to give a TED talk on supply chain management. And when he saw me, he told me this is a bit too much. Been doing this for 3 days now, like my coworkers think it's hilarious, and I'm getting genuine compliments from customers who think I'm upper management. Gary can't say crap because I'm technically following his orders, and I'm the most professionally dressed box mover in the area, and honestly, kinda feeling myself. Another way OP could have handled this one would have been to look at Gary and say, hey, Gary, could you just get us a uniform or something? Because I'm not gonna ruin my good clothes in this warehouse for your company image. I do find this one funny though, because people are always told to dress for the job they want and not the job that they have. But is it normal to dress for the job that your boss wants? This story comes to us from Cynical Mage. Don't touch the DeWalt. Going back through the mists of time to the days of working with my father-in-law as a builder's laborer for this little story. To start this, my father-in-law boss had a habit of going to B&Q for insert random non-critical item, when in actual fact, it was a handy excuse to go to a cafe for a sausage and bacon sarnie while the rest of us got on with the work. He had one golden rule. All other tools were whatever, but his precious DeWalt drill was his baby. Never, ever, ever touched the DeWalt. This fine morning, he decided to toddle off, leaving me, the plumber, and the plasterer to our various jobs. My task was to sort out the architrave and hang a door. After getting the hang of the builder's banter while being a girl, give as good as you get, and you're sorted, laughing my butt off, I thought I'd sort out the cheeky bugger. You see, don't touch the DeWalt, the only drill in the building. Fine, suits me. Father-in-law waltzes in, suspicious stains on his shirt, and what looked to be ketchup on the corner of his mouth. Why the heck isn't the door done? Well, I did what I could, but you said I wasn't to use the DeWalt. He sputtered a fair bit, the plasterer fell off the steps from pissing himself laughing, plumber quietly giggled, and I stood there pulling the most angelic face I could manage. And then I was finally given permission to use the darn drill. Alright, so the boss going out and getting some food while they're picking up things that are actually needed for the job site doesn't sound like that bad of a thing to me. I am, however, the kind of boss who would pick up stuff for the whole site every once in a while just to make sure they're happy, and that might encourage them to give me a bit more leeway in the future when I run out and take a little bit longer because I'm grabbing food. Our last story today comes to us from Swandamarm. Don't be on your phone while on the clock. This happened a while ago, but it's my favorite and most genius malicious compliance I've committed. I was working for a site work excavation company as a laborer on a pipe crew. I'm not a phone at work kind of guy. I don't like texting all day while at work, and I'm not that involved in social media. So all I would use it for was to pull it out of my pocket to really quick check the time. Foreman I was working with said I can't be on my phone while on the clock. I told him I'm not on my phone, I'm just looking at the time. He responded that if I wanted to look at the time, to get a watch. Okay. I went to like 5 pawn shops until I saw a relatively cheap pocket watch and I bought the crap out of it. Next workday, I overly exaggerated my efforts to look at the time, making it look like I was trying to hide phone use. Of course, my foreman jumped right down my throat. I told you no phone, even to check the time. It's not my phone, it's my new pocket watch, I said with a crap-eating grin. He seethed as he walked away, never bothered me about anything else, and I went back to my usual cruise shortly after, and it was no longer an issue. Jumping down to the comments on this one, we have one from a user called Beard Farkland. It says, "This reminds me of the guy who decorated cookies to look like iPhones. He was holding one in his car and got pulled over by a cop. He rolls down the window and takes a bite. Then they realize he's got a warrant for unpaid parking tickets and take him in, laughing my effing butt off." Well, OP, you've done yourself a bit of a disservice here because I think the boss now has you clocked as a malingerer, and you're probably now on his watch list. I hope you've learned not to give bosses like that the time of day, because people like that will just continue to tick you off. Okay, we'll end it there. If you love puns and my comments on these stories, make sure to give us a follow on your favorite podcasting platform. Or if you're on YouTube, hit that subscribe button and drop a like on the video. It really does help us out. I thank you for watching and listening. I hope you have a wonderful day, and we'll see you tomorrow.